Welcome back to the Explainer. Man, do we have a wild one today? We are breaking down a truly intense session of tabletop roleplay, Session 20. And let me tell you, this one is an absolute masterclass in how a seemingly simple problem can just totally spiral out of control into this massive web of tactical problem solving and simmering factional tensions. We're looking at a scenario where a coterie is basically forced to scramble to protect one of their own, all while desperately trying not to just completely turn on each other. It's a brilliant study in character dynamics and high-stakes strategy. Okay, let's dive straight into this. Here's our roadmap for today. We'll kick things off with the calm before the storm, move right into the inciting incident, cover the precinct operation, follow them on a cautious ride home, look at how they secure legal counsel, and finally wrap up with those brewing faction tensions. Section 1. The calm before the storm. Embracing the mundane. You know, every good thriller needs a solid baseline of normalcy, right? And here we see exactly how our coteries spends their precious free time before all the chaos hits. So Frost is diving much deeper into kindred society and blood sorcery, while Gabriel and Eric are out there actually building real-world influence in their respective communities. And Alex? Well, she's just relishing a wonderfully mundane night of business as usual, which, let's face it, is a pretty rare luxury for a vampire. It's just a beautiful little snapshot of who these characters are when they aren't, fighting for their lives. But of course, this piece, yeah, it definitely doesn't last. Section 2, the inciting incident, the call. So that piece is completely shattered by a sudden, unexpected problem for Alex. Look, we've all had those dreaded late-night voicemails, right? But when a seriously shady contact from your dark past leaves 3 frantic messages demanding you come over immediately, yeah, you just know it's a disaster waiting to happen. He's urgent, he's incredibly vague, and man, it just creates this instant, undeniable tension. When Alex finally arrives, she gets some pretty devastating news. The target in question is actually her estranged younger sister, Lily Parker. The massive complication here: Lily has been arrested and is currently sitting in a cell at the Bessemer Police Department. Now, the real issue for the coterie is the threat level. I mean, they have no idea if this is just a run-of-the-mill human mistake or if a rival gang, or worse, a rival kindred, actually orchestrated the whole thing just to get to Alex. It's a huge liability, forcing the whole coterie to assemble on the fly for an impromptu extraction. Section 3. The Precinct Operation, a Tactical Execution. Now, what's really interesting about this next part is how we transition into this almost heist portion of the night. The coterie needs to know exactly what they're walking into. The official police charge? Drug possession. But the reality is actually much more volatile. Lily was swept up during a Black Lives Matter protest against a conservative candidate. This plot mechanic is honestly brilliant because it forces the coterie to navigate a highly charged, very human situation without accidentally exposing their true nature. They aren't there to make a political stand, right? They're strictly there to manage a massive security risk. So the immediate hurdle they're facing? $5,000 bail. And instead of fangs and claws, they decide to opt for cold, hard cash. Frost confidently walks right into the precinct, totally playing the part of a private investigator to legally grease the wheels. I gotta say, it's always a little funny seeing these ancient, terrifying predators having to deal with standard municipal bureaucracy and just dropping a stack of cash on a desk. And this brilliantly illustrates just how seamlessly their execution timeline syncs up. While Frost is inside handling the legal cover at the front desk, Gabriel is using unseen passage to safely eavesdrop on Lily's questioning to confirm she hasn't spilled any secrets. Outside, Eric is using his heightened senses for perimeter control, basically scanning for any potential ambushes. Meanwhile, Alex, who absolutely has to remain hidden from her sister, is trailing covertly behind in a disguise on a motorcycle. It's literally a masterclass in using party mechanics to pull off a flawless extraction without triggering a masquerade breach. Section 4. A cautious ride home, assessing the asset. The immediate physical danger might be over, but the psychological assessment, that's really just beginning. Frost and Eric are tasked with driving a bruised-up Lily home, and during this ride, we get this absolutely incredible roleplay moment. Lily, who is completely unaware that she is literally sitting in a car with monsters, genuinely thanks them. She says, "Somebody's got to be a good person, especially in this state that we live in." It's just this striking bit of irony that perfectly underscores the tragedy of the vampire's existence, They're doing this solely to protect their own secrets, but to Lily, they're simply her guardian angels. But of course, Eric isn't taking any chances on those guardian angel sentiments. He uses a supernatural ability called Scry the Soul to run a covert tactical analysis on Lily right there in the back seat. He verifies she is 100% human, so no hidden supernatural threats there. He notes her emotional state is surprisingly calm. And most importantly, he analyzes her psyche, finding her accepting of the whole situation rather than vindictive. This pretty much confirms she's likely just taking the fall for someone else, and crucially, is not an active threat to the coteries' secrecy. Section 5. Securing legal counsel, the Anarch connection. All right, so once Lily is safely dropped off, Alex definitely isn't leaving things to chance. She immediately pivots to securing some long-term legal protection for her sister without blowing her own cover. But she doesn't go to just any normal lawyer. She goes to Alan King, an Anarch. Now, notice the strategy at play here. Alex and Gabriel go, but Frost and Eric are very specifically excluded. Why? Because they have a history of provoking the Anarchs, and Alex knows for a fact they'd just blow the deal. King agrees to refer a subordinate named Travis Tillman to handle the mortal court dates. But as always, it comes at a cost. Alex now owes King a favor, tying her even further into Anarch debts. It's a great reminder for your own games. Solving one immediate legal issue almost always means selling a piece of your soul to solve another. Section 6. Brewing faction tensions, the danger within.
This perfectly sets up our thematic bookend for the explainer, shifting us from the external threat of the police to the very real danger brewing within the coterie itself. Once they are finally alone, Gabriel asks Alex why Frost and Eric were banned from the meeting, and Alex delivers this incredible line: "You don't walk into someone else's house and tell them how to arrange their own furniture." She is explicitly condemning Frost and Eric for their past aggression at the Anarch haunted house. Despite their differing ideologies, Alex is fiercely defending the Anarchs' right to autonomy within their own domain, and she fundamentally disagrees with the hardline tactics of her own coterie mates.
So, what does this all mean? Well, it leaves us with a massive, provocative question. What happens to this group when their internal ideological divides finally snap? At the end of the session, the players actually drop character for a second, and Alex's player delivers this chilling warning. If Frost and Eric provoke the Anarchs again, there will be in-game consequences, hinting heavily at player versus player conflict. I mean, they survive the police, but can they survive each other? It's an absolute cliffhanger that leaves you desperate to see how they're going to navigate the fallout in Session 21. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer today, and I'll catch you next time.